Chapter 9. Goodbye, Gorillas. Jack couldn't stop smiling. He had scared off a leopard. Boo Boo and Ho Ho stared at Jack with awe. Annie looked at him with awe, too. "When did you learn to do that?" she asked. Before Jack could answer, he heard a rustling in the bush. Then Big Guy stepped out from the shrubs. The giant gorilla walked silently over to Annie. He took Little Guy from her and put the baby on his back. Then he touched Annie's cheek gently. Annie grinned at him. Boo Boo and Ho Ho ran to Big Guy and clung to his legs. The giant gorilla barked at the small ones, directing them to come with him. As they walked past Jack, and Big Guy stopped. "Huh, huh, huh," he said in a low voice. He reached out towards Jack. Jack ducked, but the silverback patted him on the head. Then he and the small gorillas moved out of sight. Jack felt as if the top of his head were glowing. "Wow," he whispered. "Did you see what he just did?" "Yeah," said Annie. "He must have watched the show you put on. He was proud of you." "Well, he was proud of you, too," Jack said modestly. Annie nodded, smiling. "I guess it's time to leave now," she said. "Leave," said Jack. "We have to say goodbye now," said Annie. "Goodbye," said Jack. He didn't want to say goodbye to the gorillas. He loved them. They were totally great. "Yeah," Annie said softly. "Come on." She led the way back through the shrubs, around the trees to the clearing. They found all the gorillas awake. Some were stretching and yawning. Others were munching on the grass or leaves. The baby was back in the mother's arms. Boo Boo and Ho Ho were chattering away to their moms. "They're probably telling them about what I did," Jack thought. He and Annie walked over to the big guy and stood in front of him. The other gorillas gathered around. "We have to go now," Annie said to them. "We have to say goodbye," said Jack. "Thanks for letting us be a part of your family," said Annie. She and Jack held up their hands and waved. The gorillas looked sad. They murmured soft sounds. Big Guy lifted his hand in the air as if he were about to wave, but instead, the silverback raised his thumb, his index finger, and his little finger. "I love you," said the giant gorilla. Jack couldn't believe his eyes. Annie sighed back. "I love you." Jack sighed too. The silverback stared at them for a long moment with a gentle, shy look. Then he turned away and gave a snort bark to his family. All the gorillas lined up behind him. The baby mother held her baby close. Ho Ho rode piggyback on his mom. Boo Boo held his mom's hand. The silverback started away from the clearing. The others followed. Boo Boo was the only one that looked back. She screeched and waved at Jack and Annie. Then she walked away, out of sight. Jack couldn't talk. His heart was so full. He took a few steps in the direction of the gorillas. "Hey," Annie said softly. "You're going the wrong way." Jack looked back at her. "The treehouse is over there," she said. She pointed in the opposite direction, at the treehouse peeking out from the fog. Jack sighed, and then he turned and started to follow her out of the clearing. "Oh, don't forget this," said Annie. She leaned over and picked up Jack's backpack from the grass. She handed it to him. "Thanks," he said. They kept walking. "And don't forget this," said Annie. She picked up Jack's jacket from under a tree. She handed it to him. "Thanks," said Jack. He tied his jacket around his waist. They kept walking. "Oh, and don't forget these," said Annie. She pointed to the flashlight and the umbrella. They lay under the wide, mossy limbs of a fat tree. Jack picked them up and carried them Annie picked them up and carried them herself. It started to drizzle again just as she and Jack got to the rope ladder. They climbed up into the treehouse. When they got inside, they looked out the window. Jack hoped to catch one last glimpse of the gorilla family. But there was nothing to see. A white mist covered the cloud forest. Annie picked up the Pennsylvania book. She pointed to the Frog Creek woods. "I wish we could go home," she said. Suddenly, a joyous screech rang out. The happy, wild sound shot through the white mist, through the cool rain, straight into Jack's heart. He opened his mouth to answer the call of the gorillas, but it was too late. The wind began to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10, A Special Magic. Tap, tap, tap. Jack opened his eyes. The Frog Creek woods were still dark and rainy. "We're home," Annie said. Jack sighed. "I miss them already," he said. "Me too," said Annie. "Did you take a lot of notes on their habitat and behavior?" Jack shrugged. "I listed a few things about them," he said, "but sometimes lists don't tell you much. You have to love gorillas to really know them." Yeah, that's right, said Annie. Jack opened his backpack. He pulled out their research book and put it in the corner. Then he pulled out the twig that Ho-Ho had given him. He smiled as he showed it to Annie. I promised Ho-Ho I'd eat it later, he said, but I think we should save it for Morgan instead. Good idea, said Annie. It'll prove to her that we found the special magic. Yeah, gorilla magic, said Jack. The magic of all animals, said Annie. Yeah, said Jack. He placed the twig next to the scrolls they'd brought back from Old England. Let's go, said Annie. She started down. Jack pulled on his backpack, but he put the flashlight in his pack. Then he grabbed the umbrella and followed Annie. They started through the Frog Creek woods. It was still cool, dark, and rainy. Jack didn't mind, though. He didn't put on his jacket. He didn't take out his flashlight. He didn't put up the umbrella. Jack felt as if he weren't completely human yet. There was still a bit of gorilla left in him. Ho, 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 he said in a low voice. Boo, boo, Annie said back. Huh, 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 they said together. The end. I liked that one, but it was bittersweet at the end. I feel bad. Like, I want Jack to be able to stay with the gorillas, but at the same time, I know that's not how this works. And then Monday, I'm going to read this book, and I'm not going to do a book a day because I only have 3 books left. So we'll be going back to reading them weekly. So this time, we're reading book 27, Thanksgiving on Thursday. It's time for giving thanks. When the magic treehouse whisks Jack and Annie to 1621 on the first Thanksgiving day, the Pilgrims ask them to help get things ready. But whether it's cooking or clamming, Jack and Annie don't know how to do anything the Pilgrim way. Will they ruin the holiday forever, or will the feast go on? Find out in Magic Treehouse, Book 27, Thanksgiving on Thursday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.